Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And tonight has been three nostalgically favorite movies of mine, all watched when I was much younger, and it's been good re-watching those movies. And in two of the cases, movies that I haven't really watched that many times, but this one I have watched many times over the years. It is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and in fact, it is the very first horror movie that I remember watching. Now, let me tell you a story about how I actually watched this movie, or when I watched this movie. I was 5 years old, and this would have been late 1981 or maybe early 1982. So I was still 5 years old, and I watched The Evil Dead. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gasp, egads, how can you have watched this movie at that age? So my parents didn't actually want me to watch the movie. They were watching the movie. Back then in Kuwait, we had a limitation on what kind of movies we would actually get, especially on VHS from a lending library. So my parents had this, we had a family friend who his family owned um, in a video lending library back in Kuwait, where I grew up. So he would pass on movies to them and say like, "This is a good movie, watch it." So some Indian movies and some Hollywood movies. So one of the movies that he gave, which he had got a recommendation saying it's a very it's a scary, or for back then it was a very scary movie, was The Evil Dead. Now my parents didn't want me to watch it. My sister would have been, if I was 5, she would have been 11 years old. Yeah, if I was 5, she was 11 years old at the time. So I think she did watch the movie completely with my parents, but I wasn't supposed to watch the movie. So they did send me to the bedroom in the apartment, but I would sneak back in, and I was terrified. Okay, I think I even did pee my pants, but I did want to see what the movie was about, and I did sneak back in and watch the movie from behind the sofa without my parents knowing it. So they were engrossed in the movie. My sister was engrossed in the movie, and little Obi was scared, but I was definitely watching. And of course, I hid whenever I was like really too scared. But I made sure that I watched a lot of the movie. And then later on, I watched the movie still in Kuwait. Maybe it was 9 or 10 years old. I did watch it during the daytime, and then I watched it a few times since then. But it's been a while since I watched it. I think 5 years or so. So The Evil Dead is from 1981. It's a supernatural horror movie written and directed by Sam Raimi. It's his debut film. The movie stars Bruce Campbell, of course, Ellen Sandweiss, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Richard D. Manicore, Betsy Baker, and Teresa Tilly. Those are the only 5 actors in the movie. And it's these 5 college kids, 2 of them who are sweethearts. They go, and why in the heck would you want to do this? An isolated, remote location, wooded area, deep in the heart of the woods, a rusty, broken down, almost cabin. So they go there, the area is haunted. They find an audio tape that basically some other professor or somebody had actually done research on demons and spirits, and there is a incantation that he says that will bring out some of these demons, some spirits basically. So there are 5 Michigan University students. Ash Williams, of course, immortalized in this franchise, the great Bruce Campbell. His girlfriend Linda, his sister Cheryl, their friend Scott, and Scott's girlfriend Shelley. So they decide to vacation at this place that I think somebody from Scott's side has actually found this, and it's supposed to be in rural Tennessee. So while they're there, initially Cheryl is the one who is temporarily possessed. Her hand is possessed. It makes her draw a book with a demonic face on it, and she sees the clock with the pendulum stopping all on its own. After dinner, they find this underground cellar, and Ash and Scott go. They find the Naturum de Monto, which is a Sumerian version of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, with the recording by Raymond Noby, who is the professor archaeologist. and they talk about the incantation that resurrects a demon entity. So the resurrected shell gets upset. She goes out while the others are inside. She goes out and she is caught by the what do you call it? By the vines and the not vines, basically the trees, the roots of the trees catch her and it rapes her basically. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in a scary movie. So she escapes and she goes back, but then she is possessed, and she starts looking all like demonish, and then it tries to attack them. So they put her in the cellar and put the chain on so she can't escape. But slowly, one by one, they all escape. They all get possessed, and finally, it is just Ash who has to fight them off, and he manages to kill them because otherwise they're attacking him by using his pendant on the chain to pull the book of the basically the Turo whatever that thing is, the book of the dead, Naturam Demonto, and he takes it and he chucks it into the fire, where as the book burns, the demons, the deadites as they call, they freeze in place and they start to rapidly decompose. Back then it was disgusting to watch. Now it is just like a little funny to watch. And they die. They killed. And dawn breaks and Ash, all on his own, stumbles outside. But as he's walking in, another unseen demon moves rapidly through the forest, through the cabin, and attacks him. You see him screaming in terror. And that's how the movie ends. Absolutely fantastic movie. I don't think they actually expected to make sequels of this, I guess. So because the ending is tweaked in the next movies. But yeah, it's a fantastic film. So this one is a more straight up horror. I can't really call it horror comedy like the others, but this one is mainly just horror. And of course, I think you have an amazing performance by Bruce Campbell, and superb, fantastic film, one for the ages. Even though it isn't scary by today's standards, I think this is a must-watch. What do you call it? A must-watch for all horror fans. If it's not already in your collection, get out there, watch this film, get a bunch of your friends together and watch it late at night. It'll be a lot of fun. That's it. Evil Dead. What would I give it a rating? It's very difficult to rate this movie because nostalgically I would give it a 10 out of 10. But I want to rate this movie, to be honest. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a fun movie. Of course, it's nothing compared to like current movies. I get that, but it's the first one for me. So it's always going to be up there in my rankings because I love this movie. I love this freaking movie. And ever since that, I've been a fan of Sam Raimi and of course Bruce Campbell as well. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Not bad. Correct.